So the new Dead Island DLC dropped not too long ago, and honestly, I really dragged my feet on testing it out, so apologies for that. However, I actually really liked it. The missions are a lot less linear than the base game, which I thought was quite cool. I also thought the graphics and lighting were absolutely on point, and whoever did the environments for this game absolutely killed it once again. I also made the switch from last gen to current gen in between the base game and this DLC, so this also just added to that effect. I also don't know when they added the FOV slider, but goddamn, it was a much welcome change. The story was really simple for the most part. You pick up a card, wake up next to a house, explore the house, and you're told to find some heads, and I'll kinda leave it around that point so I don't spoil anything. The new DLC, however, didn't seem particularly long, which would be one of my complaints, but then again, I did sort of rush through it, and the base game isn't too long either, so regardless, it's pretty in line with how the main game was. I enjoyed the characters in the DLC too. Some were pretty terrifying and others were quite charismatic. Above everything, however, I loved the tone of the DLC. They finally took it to a darker place, which I actually felt was pretty nice since the base game kinda had this go happy attitude, which I thought was a big issue. It's just nice to see them lay off the totally charismatic approach and overly saturated style for some darker horror-esque themes. It's also pretty scary at times, which is just a massive W. It introduces a new crossbow, which was the weapon I mainly used. It allows you to stealthily take down enemies, which is really fun. Yet again, something else I felt was a decent addition. And since it's 2023, I want to compliment the game for having no bugs, frame drops, or issues. It was super smooth sailing for me, which is always nice to see. Also, since this was the first time I hopped back on the game in a while, I forgot how smooth and nice the combat is, and the DLC adds a bunch of new, interesting zombies to kill and test it out on. The final complaint, which isn't necessarily something awful, but it's also just something I kind of noticed, was that the first cutscene is this 2D animation style. This usually is an indication that the DLC is rushed. You see it in Redfall and you'll see it in the Saints Row Reboot's Heist and Hazardous DLC. Again, the DLC itself didn't feel rushed, but it was something I noticed, and I wonder if this DLC was made under some pretty strict time constraints. But regardless of this, we managed to get 6 fairly decent missions, which are pretty fun, and I remember them being fairly unique in their own ways for each one. I honestly enjoyed the content that this DLC gave us. I won't make this video too overly long because I don't think there'd be much point, but I honestly want to say I felt the DLC was better than expected, and for $12, meh, not too bad. New weapons, new areas, new story, new tone. I can't complain too much. I wish it was a bit longer, sure, and I really wish they'd hurry up with the other DLCs, as I feel they're making pretty decent DLCs but just taking a really long time, but the quality itself is actually decent. I've definitely played much worse expansions in my time being a YouTuber, and this was fairly fun. So yeah, if you pick this one up, let me know what you think. Also let me know if you are still playing Dead Island and if you want me to cover Dead Island 2 content in the future. Take care, people. Boom.